My name is Jonna Ekman. I'm the marketing director at Storykit, and I'm going to talk to you about how to build a video strategy that scales. And let's start with this: how to understand video in a new world. Because in less than a decade, video has gone from something being pretty extravagant and expensive and luxurious to something that the audience demands all the time in every situation. At Storykit, we always say that the simple fact is that video doesn't have to be film anymore. Video can just be video. And I'm going to illustrate this shift, the shift that has happened in the world with two people I know very well. So say hi to my father, Boris Ekman, who is the retired CMO and also CEO of the shipping company Viking Line. And this is me, the stressed out marketing director at this very fancy SaaS company, Storykit. So my father worked with marketing almost all his life and did that until he retired. And I started working in marketing for 10 years ago about. But still, I get these types of messages sometimes on my Facebook from him. And even though I'm over 40, I still think it's really embarrassing. I have translated it. So I did something on Facebook saying, oh, look at this thing from my work. And my father writes, your father's heart swells with pride again. But I still have some difficulties as I try to explain to people what you're doing at Storykit. So how can this be? How can it be that my father, who's worked with marketing his whole life, can understand what his daughter is doing when she's working with marketing? It's pretty much the same, isn't it? Well, our jobs are entirely different. And that's not just because he worked with ships and things, and I work digitally with a SaaS company. It's also because our workday is so completely different. He worked extremely proactively. I mean, if Viking Line has or had a campaign, they planned it for years. They knew what they were doing next summer. And they used a few big channels. It was TV, it was outdoors, it was that type of thing, expensive things with few ad formats in huge campaigns. And he didn't do much. I mean, my father worked a lot, but he didn't write the copy himself. They worked with agencies. And when he told stories, he made ads. And every unit was very, very expensive. So my workday looks like this. It's so reactive. I wake up in the morning and check my Facebook and do stuff. I work in so many small channels. Me and my colleague Heidi, we use Facebook, we use LinkedIn, we use Twitter, we use Instagram. We're thinking about TikTok. We tried Clubhouse, and we use an abundance of ad formats. And we're always on. We do almost everything ourselves. And when we tell stories, we create content. Of course, we use ads too, but we truly try to tell stories in content. And we have a very low cost per unit. Setting up one ad on Facebook doesn't have to be very expensive. Try out new things doesn't have to be very expensive. So what was the biggest risk that my father could take when he worked as he did? Well, of course, it was being wrong. If you have planned the summer campaign for a year and you are wrong, it could be devastating. It could just cost you a year of opportunities. But the biggest risk I'm taking every day is not doing enough. If I'm quiet, if I'm not doing it, I was away for a week, and every morning I got up thinking I have to do something, because that's how social works. And the reason we are here is that we've gone from an era of communication in big parts to an era of bite-sized communication. Almost everything that we listen to, all the information we are meeting every day in social, in podcasts, in everything, we want it bite-sized. I mean, of course we can listen to an hour podcast, but we probably will find that podcast because they made a 10-second trailer on LinkedIn, or we can watch 12 hours of of Netflix series. We can binge watch them for days, but we probably found them because some bite-sized piece of information was meeting us in social media. And I mean, if my father's work and my work has changed in all channels, it has also changed in the way we communicate on digital. Not only like the change from TV ads and from newspaper ads, it's also how we communicate digitally, because the way we find content has changed tremendously the last decade or two. So when internet came along, we started portals. In Sweden, we had Aftonbladet or Passagen. I don't know what you had in your countries, but you probably had something big where everyone just went. They typed in www.something.com and just went there and stayed there. And what was important when you tried to grow a portal? Well, for Aftonbladet, which is a Swedish newspaper, it was important to have a great mix, because you needed to have content there that everyone would love, that everyone would be interested in, to just get loads of different people there. You had to update often, because there had to be something new every time you went there. You wanted people to just update your aftonbladet.se every hour to see what is new, what has happened. You also needed to use great headlines to make people click on those little posts in your portal. And it was also quite important to be first. Quick was very, very good, especially if you worked with as a newspaper, of course, that is still very, very important. But if you have a portal, it's important to be first. And then the age of search came along. And the way we found content just changed. We went from going somewhere, typing that thingy in, to searching for stuff. And what's important when you search for stuff? Well, the mix isn't that important, because you search for something very specific. And updating often, great headlines, being first, nah. Words were extremely important, the search terms. And we saw this so clearly that you couldn't like do a recipe of a chocolate cake and say that it was Granny Sally's best choco cake. You had to name it the best chocolate cake, because no one would look for Granny Sally's choco cake or something like that. And you needed to do your articles according to whatever structure that Google preferred. It could be Google preferred wordy articles, Google preferred pictures, Google preferred a lot of links. When you work with SEO, you still do all of these things, which you have to do. But that meant that it changed how we found content, and we changed how we created content. We created content with a long tail effect. We created content that people would look for. And in 2013, something pretty huge happened. We saw it very clearly in Sweden, where everyone just went from desktop to mobile phone and into social. And when you're publishing content on social media, words don't matter that much anymore. You can call it Granny Sally's whatever cake, and people might find it. It might go viral by some reason. The mix is still not very important, and updating often, well, that's important, but in another way. And the structure of your article isn't that important when you are publishing on social media. So what's important when you go into the age of social? Well, feelings. We discovered that feelings was really good, like try to entice anger or happiness. And those are still things that work on social. We worked with clickbait and tried to lure people into clicking on our articles. And whatever the algorithms loved, if it was likes or if it was comments or whatever it was, we tried to give them that. But the problem here is that not every article can be written to entice feelings. Not every article can be written as a clickbait article. Not every article can be written with a cute dog, unfortunately, because that would be nice. So it changed how we try to create content. And we're still struggling with that today and discussing that today. Is that good? Is that a good way to find content? We don't know. Let's see. And today, I would say that we are in the age of omnichannel. We have to be everywhere. We have to have some kind of site, a landing page where people arrive. We have to know something about search. We have to be on social, and we have to publish all the time. And the biggest thing here is to update consistently with bite-sized, highly qualitative content. And this is difficult. And what happens here is that the winning format in this bite-sized world is video. And that's not just something I say because I work at a company that is creating a super duper video tool. It's also something that we know. You want numbers? Well, there are oceans of numbers out there to just pick if you want to. We have 86% of companies use video as a marketing tool. 78% of video marketers say that video has directly helped increase sales, and so forth and so on. And the one I love the most is the last one. If you look at that, 85% of people would like to see more video from brands in 2021. So the audience actually want us to do something to put content in front of them. So let's do that. But I'm not a very big fan of numbers like these because, well, it's just numbers. I like to think, why is video so important in this bite-sized world? Well, first of all, it does spark emotions in a way that text never does. And emotion is the most important part of any storytelling. And also something that is very good on social. And it sparks emotions even if you don't put something provocative or a cute dog there. It can spark emotions anyway, because we're hardwired to like moving images. Video is also easy to remember. There are loads of numbers out there, like the average viewer retains 95% of a message if it's in a video form. But I mean, you just have to go to yourself. Do you remember, how much do you remember of the last article you read? And how much do you remember from the last video you saw? It's also super easy to consume. And in this very fast-paced world, we need to be able to consume stuff easily. Not just because we're lazy, but because we're busy, or we're on the bus, or we're in between meetings, or we're at the toilet, wherever. It needs to be easy to consume. And it's perfect for social. Video is truly perfect for social. Why? Well, first of all, it's consumed as a whole. A video can be like 60 seconds on social, and it's not very hard to consume that. But if you need to click on a link to come to an article that is like 10,000 pages long, it'll take time. You don't have time. Video is also easy to share. This is also why it's a reason why it's so easy to share is because it's consumed in a whole. It's easy to say, look at this 60-second video, instead of saying, listen like 20 minutes into this very amazing podcast. That's difficult on social because no one does that. Or please read this very, 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 very long article. That's difficult too, but just watch this video. It's perfect. And also, you never leave the platform. And we know who loves that, the platforms. So this is one of the reasons that video is shared a lot on social. And video is also very accessible. As I said, video is a way to consume content or information when you are tired, when you are sick, when you have a baby on your arm, when you're running to the bus, you can actually watch a video. Or if there are thousands of reasons and opportunities where video is really accessible compared to reading a long text. And also, and this is so important that we often forget, it forces the sender, it forces me to prioritize my messaging, because it's so easy on social when you have like oceans of room and space, and I can write the longest articles in the world and I can spread them throughout the whole system and all the platforms. It's so easy to just not think through what you're actually doing. But if you're doing a 30, 60, 92-minute video, you will be forced to think, what am I saying? Who am I saying this to? All the things we're going to talk about later on. So winners publish video consistently with impeccable quality in an ultra high tempo, and some examples. Well, all the big TikTokers, of course. Charlie D'Amelio is the biggest, and she publishes all the time. But also a SaaS company as Gong that just raised like $200 million on a $7.25 billion valuation. They work with video all the time, not just because it's fun, because they have to. And also, if you look at like old companies like Nike, you'll still find loads of videos. And look at this, what I found. Even my father's old company, Viking Line, are producing video in a fast pace with a high quality. I'm so happy for them. But still, okay, so now we've talked extensively about why video is so important in the new world. So why are people still creating video for the old world? Because many still do. Well, first of all, I think that video has to be something like this. It has to be these expensive, award-winning things that people will talk about. We need to go viral. Or they think that it's only for the experts, the guys who have the heavy equipment and know how to do things with a super duper fancy camera. Or at least they think it's complicated. You need to know these extremely complex programs and sit in dark editing room for hours. Or you think it's impossible to scale. I can create 1 video a year, 2 videos a year. Or now I can't create video on scale. I can't create a lot of video. So this is what people often think. But today, most videos should look like this. Oh, I forgot to turn the sound off. Never mind. So what is this? Well, it's text-driven, very simple, fast videos that people almost can read through. We sometimes tell people, think of your video as something that you can read through. And why is this? How come? What has happened that has enabled us to create simple text-driven videos with stock images in the background, or maybe not even anything in the background, from these extremely cool, expensive things? What has changed that has enabled us to do this? Well, in 2006, you know that Facebook launched their news feed. And shortly after, they started rolling out their ad solution. That was the point. But it took a couple of years. Actually, up until 2013, they launched their first solution for video ads. And when they did this, they were smart enough to know that if people started getting video in their feed, they would be really annoyed unless they made it auto start and silent. So Facebook started muting all video in their feeds. And this had a really big impact on how we're creating video for social today. So today, 80 to 90% of all video views happen without sound. Facebook even says design for sound off, but delight with sound on. Yesterday, I had a friend coming up to me and said, oh, I was going to call you because I saw one of your videos on LinkedIn and didn't have any sound. And I was like, oh, I forgot about it. Too bad. I mean, doesn't matter. And this means that the most important factor for successful videos is something else than it's been, and it's the script, which means that we have a new video pro in town. And it's not the guy with the heavy equipment or the person who knows how to use these complicated programs. It's the person who can write, because the person who can write, the person who can create a good keynote, or the person who can create a good article, or a person who just knows how to spell is the person who's going to create the best videos. So this is what we created Storykit for. And I'm not going to give you the big sales pitch, but our solution is a tool that helps you with everything. You write the script and then we create the video for you, more, or the system creates the video for you, more or less. Then in that system, you can have a lot of creativity and flexibility, but that's pretty much it. The script is in the center. Now, how should you think about video this year of 2021? Well, usually, like in my father's case, he would create, or his agency would create a lot of content and ads. And they would create some expensive hero content, and they would create a lot of other content, press releases, blog posts, maybe not blog posts for him, but anyways, all types of articles. And in most companies today, the hero content, the expensive, the campaigns, that type of content will be video, because that's where you put the, I was going to say the Swedish spenderbyxor, which means that you are ready to spend a lot of money. And all the other content is still text. If you send out a press release, it's text. If you do a blog post, it's text. But what we say is that you should keep doing this. Of course, you should create these amazing award-winning stuff that you're doing if you're doing it, but you should also do this as video, because all your content should be video. Because the secret in this bite-sized world is that more is more. You shouldn't be publishing a lot of videos. You should be publishing heaps of videos. And many of our customers, when they come to us, they increase their video production with like 400% when they start using Storykit, and that's amazing. But they're probably still creating too little video, and we are too. And I mean, we publish video every day. So why is the quantity so important? And this is not just about video, this is about social, because that's how social works. If you're out of sight, you will be out of mind on social. You remember these? My biggest risk is to not do things. You would never post one text post on your LinkedIn account and then go, that was that for this month, I hope. And the same goes for video. You have to consistently put out stuff. Also, you need to put out stuff to learn, because on social platforms, what your target audience want to learn from you is not something that you can read in a white paper about the best practice for your type of company or anything. You have to do stuff to learn what they actually want. And they're also so fluctuating, and they're so eager to find out new things. And there are trends and there are stuff. You have to work reactively. So our VP product, Fredrik Strömberg, used to say that the only way to learn how to reach out in this swarm of content is to try 1,000 different ways and do it 1,000 times. And also never stop, because everything changes all the time. And this might feel a bit intimidating, but I would love it if you instead thought, wow, that's fun. We're going to do so much fun stuff. Also, you need to publish a lot to reach different target audience, but we're going to get back to that, because now it's time, now it's time to create a video strategy. And let's start with that audience we mentioned, because what happens on social and in this bite-sized world of communication, you need to find your target audience and shrink it. You probably have a good idea of who your target audience is. But the problem of social media is that the audience isn't just a big mass of people. They are individuals. They are not personas. I would never click on anything just because I'm a mother of two. So I wouldn't click on something that just comes from a magazine or a company that tries to talk to mothers. But I would click on it if it's interesting for me as a person. I would rather click on an article that is about mountain climbing than about children's clothes, because on social media, I am me. So this might be your huge target group that you're talking about in your company. And these are the people who might care about the thing you want to talk about right now. So what should we do about this? Should we just sit down and cry? No, we should focus. So every video or every piece of content that we create needs to be directed to those people, not to all people, because then no one will care. But if you try to target those few people and you focus your video or your content on one subject, just one subject, not try to put everything in a video at once, because that will never work, but one little small subject. And you try to shrink that little micro target audience and you create one video, then something will happen and it will find the right target audience. So the solution to these problems is to create a lot of video or a lot of content. But how can I create a video for just a couple of people? I still need to reach that huge target audience. Well, a lot of video. So if you create loads of videos with micro targeted audiences and you have one subject for each, you will find them in a much better way than if you just tried to create one big video for everyone. So find your target audience and shrink it. The second step to this strategy is, of course, to set your goals straight. And this is where we need to talk about this little fella, because we have so many clients coming to us saying, yeah, we love doing video, but we don't get any likes. And we're always like, why do you want likes? So of course, likes can be nice. It's called the vanity metrics because of a reason, because it doesn't really show us what we need to know. Do the likes help you reach your goals? Do they help you make well-informed decision? Or can they even be counterproductive? We had a client once that I talked to that said, every time I post a video, my colleagues get so nervous because we don't get any likes. So then I asked them, if you post a text post, are you just expecting a lot of likes every time? And they're like, no. So why are you expecting this from every video? No, you should set your goals straight. And I'm going to tell you a story about when this was very counterproductive for us. So I set out this little fella on Facebook. 5 totally reasonable things you're not allowed to share on Facebook. And one of those things were naked feet, because feet under a cover can imply something that you shouldn't talk about on Facebook. And we set this article up and we had one big like party. People just started sharing GIFs and pictures of their own feet, picture of their pets' feet. They were funny, it was loads of laughs, and it was great. And we were like, yay, we just found the golden article. So we set budgets for it and we just spread it out into the world. And we started thinking about how can we create more content like this? But the problem was, after a week or so, we just looked at the data and saw that it didn't do any difference. I mean, that article lived its own life, but we didn't get one client from this article. We didn't get one demo request from this article. We didn't get anything from this article. So instead of doing more of this, we stopped doing this. Instead of giving more money to this post, we stopped putting budget behind this post. Because likes, and in this case, comments, even engagement, didn't help us, but it was fun. So set your goals straight, because one video will never do everything, but many videos can do a lot. So set the right goal for them. So what could the goals be for a video? Many people think that you can only use video for top of funnel thing. It's just good for branding. Well, I can tell you, because we work with video all the way up until up and down in the funnel with video, that that's just not true. Video can do loads of things. So our metrics, you need to find your metrics, of course, but the metrics we're looking at in the top of funnel is engagement. If we're creating a video that we want engagement for, that we want likes for, we will look at that. So it could be views, shares, comments, or retention. Retention, this amazing KPI that no one looks at. Someday I'm going to have an entire webinar just about retention because it's so interesting. And in the middle of the funnel, it might be something completely different. Here we look at the click-through rate. Do we get people to come to our site through our videos? Do they download stuff via our videos? And yes, they do. Do they sign up for a webinar through our videos? Obviously, they do, because there are loads of participants here today, and we have mostly made a lot of video to advertise for it. So hopefully. And in the bottom of the funnel for us, it would be meetings booked. Simple. And if I create a video for meetings booked and it doesn't get any likes, that doesn't matter, as long as the meetings get booked. So set your goals straight. The third step in our amazing strategy is to fill your content plan. And here, this is something that might be quite difficult for many people, because first of all, you need to find your stories. And I meet so many people who say, we don't have any stories to tell. Our company is so boring. It's not true. I often do an exercise with companies where I force them to look at two or three sites that they consider boring, and then come up with 5 video ideas for that site. And they come up with the most amazing video ideas, because it's so easy to see what the other people are doing. And it's so difficult to see that we have all these stories here. So my first tip here is to use the content you're already publishing, because you are publishing a lot of content already, and everything can be video. Your press releases, your information stuff, your notifications, your updates in your tool, your whatever, everything can be content. Everything can be video. So start there and just browse through and try to look at it with another type of eye. You can also tell stories from inside your organization. Talk to your colleagues, talk about your releases and your successes and your problems. This is extremely trendy right now, because everyone talks about authenticity, to be authentic on social media. So it's a very good opportunity to tell stories that a couple of years ago, it wouldn't be interesting, but today everyone wants to know, what are your problems? How do you solve them? What are your solutions? And of course, try to find the why. What's the company mission and vision? And find that feeling you want your audience to have. This is where you can find content that might not even be about your company, but it still makes them feel what you want to feel. And that's when they're going to connect to you for real. That was poetry. Also, you can listen to what the competition are talking about, because they might have good ideas that you can steal, or at least you can see what they're doing that's not working. But most importantly, listen to what your audience is talking about. What are their pain points? What keeps them up at night? What are they interested in? And here I really mean talk to them. Like, send out a survey, go into the communities where they are, call them. Just set up a little group and just call them and say, I want to know what you are thinking about. Talk to your audience, listen to your audience. That's where the best stories will come up. Another tip for filling your content plan when you've found your stories is to try to plan like they do in a newsroom, because the newsrooms are the best content planners in the world, because they have a deep understanding of the target audience, and they do publish frequently, and they have little focus on every article. Of course, there are articles that has big focus, but they publish so much every day that the big focus is on the full picture, and that's much more important. And they don't have any fear of publishing. There is even a line saying, publish and be damned, that many publishers use. And also, many people think that in a newsroom, everything just happens reactively. They come in the morning and it's like, what happened in the world? We're going to create content. That's just not true. They fill so much of their daily jobs working proactively. Then they have room for reactive work, because that makes a very huge difference too. But they couldn't create this amount of content if they didn't work proactively. And they use formats. They know that in May, the Princess Victoria has a birthday. Maybe that's not in May. Anyway, so they know what's going to happen months from now, and they plan for it, and they use formats. And everyone can do that. And one misconception that many people has is that the formats will make your days less creative. And that's actually not true. Just think of all the great programs and podcasts and films or anything you've seen. They all follow the format. I mean, look at the program Idol, American Idol or Swedish Idol or anything. It's such a set out format. You will know every episode what's going to happen. And that's because we love formats. We love to know something about what's going to happen, but we still want to be surprised. So use formats and be creative inside them. So here are just some suggestions of formats that you could try to set up for your company. Maybe you can have a proactive format where you interview someone, a person in focus, or a format where you have thought leading material going on. Or maybe use FAQs as a proactive format that you can publish once a week. What are the FAQs right now? Just one question a week, and you have content for a whole year because people ask so many questions. Create trailers for articles. If you are planning an article, you should have a video trailer for that article. And also micro cases. Talk to your clients. What can we do? This is a good, very good proactive format that you can use. And as I told you, the stories from within your company. And then the reactive formats. What's happening today? Are we in a business where we can talk about like today's news or anything? Maybe we can. Surveys is a good way to pick up things that are happening. So Facebook just made this huge algorithm change. Let's do a video where we talk to 3 experts about it. And also facts and figures. So the new report was out. Let's pick up the most important facts and figures and do a quick video on that. So use formats. So now you have found your stories and set your goals straight, and you have also set your audience. And now it's time for step 4. And that is create once, but don't forget the distribution, because this is something that people often do. They set like 75-90% of their time creating something amazing, and then they just press publish on Facebook and go, nothing happened. And of course nothing happened. You have to work with it. You have to distribute it much. And my tip there is to start with one channel and learn. So how do I do this on LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram or whatever platform that you're using? Don't try to be an expert everywhere at once. I mean, you can publish everywhere, but start to learn from one channel, because when you've learned about how one channel works, you can use that knowledge for loads of other channels, because they're pretty much the same, even though they are entirely different, if you know what I mean. So start with one channel and learn, and try loads of stuff all the time. And remember, when you're distributing on social media, you are joining a conversation, and this goes for video too. You are joining a conversation, and if you would come into a party and you see a group of people talking, you wouldn't just burst in and change the subject, would you? No, you would listen in. And if the timing was right, you would do one of 3 things. You would start a conversation. If the timing is right and you have something to say, you can start a conversation. Or you can join the conversation, comment on it, be a part of it, do a new angle on it. Or you can end it. Doing this is something that more people should do on social media. Like, how do we sum up this discussion that has been around on our platform or around our tools or whatever? How can we sum it up and end the conversation? That's also an interesting way to have a conversation on social media. And also use the post. The post is so underused that my colleague Christian, who worked with distribution on social, is like, he really cries about this all the time, because he wants people to use the post. If you have a video that says it all, you might use the post just as a headline. But you can also create a video that doesn't say it all, that is more like a trailer for something or just something moving. then you can use the post. You can use the post to start the conversation. You can use this post to end the conversation, or you can use the post to set the right context for your video. You can use the post in so many ways. So don't create content, publish it, and just put something together in 3 minutes and press publish. Use the post. And also on social, distribute and redistribute. And redistribution is something that people often forget about, because people think that they think like in the old way of the feed. If I have published this once, I can never publish it again because it will feel old. The only person that will feel that it's old is you. All the other people haven't seen it, or all the other people have forgot about it, or all the other people missed it. So redistribute and talk about the same things over and over again. I've realized, following like some of the biggest marketers in America, that they're saying the same things over and over again, but in different ways and with different points of views. So it always feels new, but the subject and the point is the same. So just redistribute your stuff, create a new video for the same article, try a new angle, change an image, change the post. So now you have distributed your content and it's amazing, or it completely fails. It doesn't really matter, because the fifth and final step here, and this is a step that you need to take forever, is to learn and iterate. So when you've published your first video, you need to look at what worked and what didn't, because the whole point of publishing so much videos and content as we do is to learn. And if you publish something that doesn't work, we'll stop, change it. If you see that something works, do more of it. Try it again, publish it again, see what happens. And then the nicest thing with social media is that, I mean, you can be so intimidated by the fast pace and the I can't find the word, the fact that it's so crowded, or you can consider it as something fun, something that you can experiment with. Because if you do something wrong on social, it doesn't matter that much. I mean, you can always make mistakes that are devastating, but most of the mistakes you will make are like, you spelled the headline wrong. And then you go in and say, hey, thanks for letting me know, I'm going to change this. And you join the conversation, and the person who wrote that will be very happy that you answered. Well, everyone is happy. So try and try again, and don't be afraid to fail. So first you publish, and then you rethink your plan, because something that we marketers do is plan too much. We overplan, we think too much. We're so good at strategizing and thinking about what we should do that we never do. But remember, once again, what's the biggest mistake I can do? It's not doing things. So when you've published, then you rethink your plan, and then you build your insights. But keep executing. Don't take like, no, we're going to take a month off and think, because that's not going to work. Then you're going to lose all the people that started following you. So keep executing. And remember to look at those goals, KPIs, and data. Don't get caught up in the why didn't I get any likes if you're not looking for likes. So just keep looking at your goals, KPIs, and data. And then you learn, you create, you publish, and you iterate. And always, always, always do this. A quick recap before we wrap this up. So here are the 5 steps to a scalable video strategy. Find your target audience and shrink it. And then you need to set your goals straight and know what you want to do with every video. Fill your content plan. Distribute. Remember to distribute. And then you learn and iterate. Don't overplan, because the most important thing when it comes to video strategy or any strategy on social media is this slogan that someone took before me. But this is the truth. Just do it. Eller, as we would say in Swedish, kör bara kör. Just go. And with that, I say thank you very much.